Good evening and welcome to PUBG OCE Season 2 CGL Game Night 2 for the Bandana Division in the CGL. I'm Suko Vidya and I'm joined today by the humble OCE number 1 Nutshot AU. How are you, Nutshot?
I'm good, Suko. Mate, and what a pleasure it is to be co-casting with the 8th best PUBG content creator in the OCE region tonight.
Might be a bit modest there with 8th. I think I'm at the moment in the run for 9th, but tonight's going to be an exciting game. Looking out for Cozy last week, putting in a solid effort in the entire night for CGL Bandana Division. He pretty much stole all of the airtime. Do you have any insight into who you think are going to be the underdogs for tonight's matches?
Underdogs, no, but look, I've got a few players I want to keep an eye out for tonight. Cozy is one of the guys on the list. Also, some other mentions would be Linksy, Pekin, Blackout NZ, and Bouncy Butts. I've seen these guys do some good work in the past, so should be an interesting night.
Now, Linksy, you mentioned from Team Icarus Rising. Those guys have been putting in quite a bit of work. And I did see in the previous CGLs, Grumps putting in quite a lot of work. So I'd be interested to see him get a little bit more airtime in the matchups tonight, so if he gets a chance to be involved in the firefight, so to speak. At the moment, we're about to jump in as we go into round 1 for the Bandana Division of tonight's CGL. Looks like
look at
the
plane straight across the bottom of the map, heading west. This will be interesting to see where these guys are going to jump for.
Now, the last couple of division match nights for the CGL actually had a lot less players than what I'd expected going for the heavy loot zones. No joke, esports taking advantage of Sosnovka military base twice in their division, and be interested to see how that plays into the meta based on feedback and how people would have viewed those last games with the early drops.
Yeah, it looks like there's 2 squads that are opted to go south towards Novo. I wonder if one of those groups is going to pull off seeing the other squad there, or they're going to try and battle it out straight away. As you can see, the mill base is absolutely right for the picking with no one there.
Now, it's X-Toll's team with Nobody AU down there, dropping down on the Novopanoi container area, which they are the Pachinkings, if I'm not mistaken. And who else are they joined by? Hard Meme down there as well. So those are the boys from the Trash team taking up on the east side of the Novopanoi container shipyard area.
And if you look over, you can see Jam Drop's team is actually, looks like they're heading back towards the mill base. They might have picked up on the fact that no one actually dropped there.
No one's gone for Primorsk, though. In the high top division, that was a very heavy drop point for the boys from Marcel's Bakery, currently on the leaderboard for their division, respectively. So it's interesting to see no one's gone for that off the bat.
Bouncy Butts' squad is heading south. They might even try and look for a vehicle and head down to Primorsk. That's usually a pretty good place to lead up. And look at that circle. Primorsk is right for the picking there.
I think the boys with Bouncy Butts group, they're going to be quite happy being right in the central area of that circle. But just to the north side, we can see a big condense of players dropping in on Georgia Ball. I think that might be the area to focus in for early combat because it's such a high loot area. And we can see Bacon Pac-Man's team up there. He's going to be putting in a bit of work this match as well. We did see a little bit of airtime in Division 1, in CGL 1 in his division, respectively, in that night.
Yeah, and it looks like the long shooters are about to land up at Yasnaya as well. It's always a pretty good place to loot up. Plenty of gear up there. So we've got guys over at the power plant. There's actually 2 groups over on that side of the map. They'll probably start heading in towards Milta. But that's Rank Tank, closest to Milta. They'll probably loot up at those compounds around there, then start heading east, try and secure a few vehicles.
You can see Glock and Mirari team up there with Zap Bruder and the boys just to the north of the actual power plant itself, just over the alcove there, in the area vicinity around GH, crossing over with L. So there's generally quite a large vehicle spawn there. I don't think they're going to have too much trouble, and it doesn't look like they're going to have too much combat, I suppose, in the midst on their way over there if they cut and beeline straight towards the circle. Compare that to the guys like a Blind Freddy and so forth going further up towards Severny. They're going to have to either cross rivers or cross some of those choke points on their way in as we move in on Hard Meme and the boys down here on the east side of Nova Prunoi. Looks like Rum got the M16. Hard Meme and the boys down there rocking, looks like shotguns predominantly, and perhaps an SKS or a Sega from what I can see. Early on, Nutshot, what would you, in your experience, being high up on the leaderboards, prefer to have as an early game weapon in this sort of an area and setting?
Oh, look, you're always looking for an AR off the bat. SMG is good as well. If you're going to be taking range fights, UMP or Uzi, obviously. I don't know. I'm a bit indifferent with the shotguns. They seem to work for everyone else when I've got one in my hands. They never seem to drop people. I'll always opt for a SMG instead of a shotgun.
You can see down in Pachinki, you got Ellis Brutal and some of the other guys there closing just on the outside of the circle. And we can also see, is it Bob Book down there as well, and Serial Killer also. Now, those boys, Serial Killer and L as well, they're in Hobbits in Space Team. So it just looks like at the moment 2 teams down there.
Yeah, 2 teams close in Pachinki, 2 teams close in Rozok. I don't think anyone else is butting heads just yet. Everyone seems to be leading up fairly safely. The guys at Gatka are probably got a chance of running into the guys to their east. But besides from that, everyone's fairly spread out. Surprised there hasn't been contact at Nova yet, actually, with these 2 teams. Surely they would have seen each other getting up on top of the crate by now.
Definitely, and the guys at the Sosnovka military base got a free loot there at the moment, so it looks like there's not going to be too much for them to worry about. They might get early on the chokehold at the West Bridge, going as they have teams exfiltrating from the southern Sosnovka military base island, going out towards Primorsk and further on the southwest side of the North Island. So we can see nobody there's got the pump action shoddy. If they come into close contact with these guys moving east to west through the container shipyard, they might be able to make some executive manoeuvres there to close quarters, I suppose. But when you look at it, actually in comparison, they've got the SCAR and 2 UMPs, which I think in the scales of those firefights, those 2 UMPs might be a little bit more versatile. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I think AR, you definitely want to get an AR, especially the way these guys are spreading. It looks like Ramum's team is starting to be aware of the time. There's a minute before the first circle starts ticking in, so they're either trying to get positioned to catch these guys out, or they're actually going to start trying to move away, secure a vehicle, and start heading towards the next circle.
I think I can see Eltrix there just further on the southern western end of the container shipyard, just in the residential area. He's got himself an M16. I know you've been quite partial to M16 in the last season. That's got an average hit damage of about 41, I believe, just base damage on that weapon, compared to, I think it's a 35 getting output by the UMPs. So especially in the distance that he's going to be covering here, it's going to be much better for them with the high ground advantage as well. Yeah,
look, the M16 is it's a pretty amazing weapon. It's literally a sniper rifle. You throw a scope on that, and you can use it as a semi-auto sniper. So it's pretty good.
As you mentioned, they want to find ARs quite early, and I think the entire team here for Pachin Kings have got themselves AR, if I'm not mistaken. Almost looks like they've all got M16s as well. So not much of a division that they can pull on ammunition to increase the pool that they have as a total, but rocking the same ammo type, it might make it easier for them to exchange and get ammo if needed between the team.
Yeah, look, knowing that team's down at Nova as well, the pressure's on. Whether they're going to trap those guys or not. And we're just flicking over to some, looks like a bit of action over here at Yasnaya.
Here's our superstar Coffin. He was lucky enough to get a 252 viewer host from PUBG OCE last time. Hopefully he doesn't mess it up while we jump on with the view this time when we come on board with him.
So even the guys at Yasnaya, I think, are they're outside the first circle as well. So they're going to have to start thinking about, what's their exit strategy? Have they got a vehicle secured? If not, they're going to have to look at their time. When are they going to have to start moving?
Might be something that interests the viewers, Nutshot, with the high caliber of your status in this game. What would you be thinking when you're so far away on the far northeast side of the map when the circle is so far to the west and you're in contact with another group?
Look, you've probably seen a lot of teams avoiding early fights in this tournament. The name of the game, if you want to win in PUBG at the moment in its current format, is to stay alive. So if you can reduce your risk by avoiding those early fights, loot up the gear you can, try not to get caught in an early fight, secure a vehicle, and then start planning your next move. You've got to always be planning, 1 or 2 moves ahead. So if I were these guys, I'd definitely be looking for a vehicle, which it looks like they have. The guys over at the old hard spawn at Yes No, looks like they've got a vehicle, so they're probably going to start booking now.
Let's just see the guys up there, Blind Freddy and the Crit Saverni. They don't seem to have a vehicle on the map, at least from what we can see from top-down view. Maybe we can jump down and see what these guys have prepared, because they are going to have to either go to the west side bridge choke points or hard along the coast, which again is going to be a choke point in this particular match because of the spawn condensing that they've had there since everyone went to Georgia Pole.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right. There's usually plenty of cars around Saverni. Don't see a lot of people leading up there that often anymore, not that I've noticed. So it's probably a pretty safe place to go. It's pretty far away, especially if you've got a southern plane.
So it looks like the boys from S-Team D have found themselves a blue Dacia here, so they're going to go... Oh, also, they've got a UAZ, so Spacey jumping in the UAZ there. These guys look like they're going to be perhaps beelining it southwest from their current location. Maybe if we're lucky, we can see... I don't think they're interested at all in going for the bunker, so I think they must be content with what they've currently got on board. So 2 vehicles and perhaps half to full loadout might give them the advantage they need if they do come into contact with somebody else, as they didn't really have any contention up there in the northern areas.
Yeah, well, as you can see, they're riding that blue wall in, so they're probably just opting to get out with what they've got, not wanting to take any damage. What have they got? A couple of bridges ahead of them. They've got a few options there. Doesn't look like anyone is camping them.
Jumping on board with extra right now. It's got the 4 times in the AK with an extended mag as well. Taking a couple of shots. Zoid, mate, you can see has just killed Eltrix with a headshot from the AKM, and also V1793 in the kill feed getting Rum there. So Rum and Zoid, some of the higher contenders on the OC leaderboards themselves, actually going down very early at the moment. Jumping on board with Happy Novites. Sorry, Novites. Sorry to butcher that name. And you can see he did get a knockdown there, I believe, in the kill feed. I'm not sure who one it was, as he's coming up against the transmission tower just next to the sunken city.
Yes, it looks like they've got one guy left up there. He's probably going to try and finish those knocked out guys.
So there goes I.
Yeah, these guys are in the blue now, so the pressure's going to be on. Hopefully they've got some meds to get out of this.
Yeah, but on top of that, they're going to need a vehicle to get a bit of fast pace on there, because we know how far away that circle is. When you're in a combat situation, what goes through your head is the survival tactics first until it comes to the point where you realise, again, you've still got to move into that circle. So these guys are still going to try and buy time here to keep themselves alive to get them to the next part of the objective. But at the same time, they're wasting time as the circle starts to go to the next evolution.
Yeah, and look, Monolith is in trouble. You can see he's bandaging, trying to bandage out of this. He's just been knocked again. So looks like Happy's got his number.
Happy No Bites putting in a little bit of work there while we've jumped on board with him, and we can also see Cozy right there. He's just killed I Love Spaghetti, one of the power players in the PUBG OCE community. So going down early, one of the guys to keep your eyes on. And Cozy, as mentioned earlier, he's going to be putting in a lot of work. I would speculate.
It's actually really interesting. I'm really surprised no one's already moved into better position down at the southern end of the map. I mean, Primorsk is still looks fairly central. The circles these days do tend to pull towards the water. So it's usually a safe bet to head to those coastal cities when there's water in the circle.
We did see, as you mentioned earlier, some of the guys were playing the outside of the circle as the boys from S-Team D came in with the WAZ and the blue Dacia that they were driving. Now, in pub games, when you're just online and ranked, it works very well because there's a lot of unorganised teams. But with the skill ceiling that we have here in PUBG OCE in this particular division itself, do you think it works against them or for them to follow that circling?
From what I've seen, it looks like most of the teams have been vying to get into position early, get into a house. Like some of last week's games, when you look at the circle, there might be 6 or 7 different compounds or buildings there. Every compound or building had a squad in it. So I think people have figured out the value of buildings and cover. And if you can get into the middle of the circle early, you've got a 50-50 chance the circle's going to close on you, or you're going to have to move. So they're pretty good odds, rather than getting caught in an unnecessary fight on the edge.
See, Miggles just went down there as we jump on board with Blind Freddy and vicinity of the crate at the moment with their boys. Spacey there, looks like he's got the Scar, if I'm not mistaken. Game there's got the M4 as well. Can't really see what attachments he's got just from this view itself. And we're on board with Blind Freddy. Having a look through the ACOG there with the... what was that? He's got the Car 98 on board.
Yeah, they're scoping out that compound. It's dirty. It looks like it's been looted, but obviously we can tell that there's no one there. So they're probably going to start clearing compounds and moving towards the edge of the circle.
Be interesting to see if we're lucky enough to see something like perhaps an M24 or an AWM come into play here. But we can see that he had the Car 98, which has a base hit damage of 72. Anything above that in the tiers of weaponry just goes up. With the M24, it's 84 damage. With the AWM, it's 132. So interesting to see what's come out of that crate. I believe it's probably the Car 98 that's come out of that crate, as they were in such close vicinity to it. We're on board with Zapruder now. Zapruder from Glock and Morari. These guys are moving in from the northeasterly side of the circle, coming up. Looks like we're going to maintain distance, actually.
I don't know if he's spotted this squad. He's probably spotted this squad to the northwest. He seems to be watching them over the rock. Maybe not. He's still checking around. They might be under defilade for him, but there's
it looks like they are under a defilade there.
Yeah,
they're
definitely
about 200 meters, I think.
Conflict here.
But you can tell by the way that Zapruder is playing this, he has a bit of environmental and situational awareness, perhaps based on the intel he can pick up from sound coming in from recent engagements. Knowing where to move and where to place. If he hadn't delayed there and had run straight in, there might have been a point where he's going to get choked off going towards his hard cover as these guys are starting to condense around about 200 meters to the west of the next 2 grid squares over.
Yeah, well, this hill that Cougar Girl and her squad are on is actually quite strong. So as these guys push into the circle, they might come under fire here, because you can see a fair way around. There's also another squad down in the barn compound to his left. So we probably are going to see some action here pretty soon, I think.
Now, you did mention Cougar Girl from the team Tilt City. So he'll be playing with Joe Skills, with DIICK, and also Joe's.
Is that any relation to Shane Skills?
We'll see, man. How the outcome of the firefight might go. It might be no Skills.
Yeah.
Cougar Girl going down. Looks like you've got the bad omen in this particular division. Last time I was casting in the high top division, every name I seemed to mention went down pretty quickly in close proximity when it was mentioned. On board with K-Sun right now. Moving in close, frag out. Turns around, runs away. Bad guys don't need to look at explosions.
Was that 3 knockdowns of that squad inside that building?
Looks so. K-Sun's got a final kill on a bleed out right there. Trying to finish one off through the windows.
Yeah, trying to shoot a corpse, save your ammo, mate.
I think he's still mistaken that corpse for Jack. I'd say Jack's got some nice cover in there. So if they can wait it out, perhaps they can get the res here. But Kaysen's teammate pushing. That doesn't look like he's got eyes on Jack right now. But he's looking for Jackie because he knows there's a knockdown in. As Jackie's just bleeding out. Case unknown going ham. Lucky with the red dot on board. Going in a third person as a preference for that kill right there. And now in for the revive. So get himself a triple. Can't pick the revive.
That was quite good play. Quite aggressive play. So hopefully he can pick his mate up here. And they
it's
can
good that
stay
you
in
point
the
out
fight.
how good it was as an aggressive play, because in situations like that, when fire comes from an external team while you're in a firefight with one other team, it then works against you. All the work that you've put in to secure that particular hard point is now going against you. So definitely a good play, and his decision to go inside and wait it out for the revive probably definitely working against the people that are trying to assault his position. So putting in a lot of work, securing that hard point and giving them the ability to move forward up the ladder towards the next evolution of the circle. As we can see, Far King down there in O, far left, just to the southwest of Primorsk right now. They're actually way out in the water, and I think it could be about 500, 600 meters off coast to the west of Blackout NZ. And you can now see Miggles IDK moving in on Hadmeme as well, and Blackout NZ. They're all condensing around the same building area right now. So 3 separate teams in close proximity.
Yeah, it's going to start getting quite busy down in Primorsk now. Obviously, everyone's going to be jockeying for positions, trying to get into good houses. There's quite a few good houses in Primorsk you can set up in and get good visibility around. This is not a bad house these guys are in here.
Interested to see what Hardman pulls off here, because he's trying to stay aware on his right side as he's holding behind that fence right now. But he saw that car go right to left, passing him west to east on the lower side, south side of the island. Taking incoming shots now.
Yep.
Blackout NZ on the flank. So those guys that came out of that WAS going west to east on the south side of Primo actually getting the advantage there. Played that very well. Hardmeme didn't really have too much he could do there apart from perhaps occupy a building, but probably more concerned about the closer threats. He was in danger close, approximately 50 meters to his east.
Yeah, look, I think that's a bit of awareness, right? He saw the car drive past him. He still chose to stay out in the open. And look, Blackout and Carter played this perfectly. They've gone to a 2-story house. They're going to have good visibility around the area. And like I said, the circles have a tendency to be pulling towards the water now, so they're probably in a very strong position here.
So we just saw Deaders up in the kill feed, got killed there with the M416, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. So that's still a couple of players really fending off some of these people in the zone right now. But you can see as everyone's coming in from the northeast, there's still 58 people alive. Now, this is almost a dead set replica of pretty much every game in CGL, both divisions, for the last 2 divisions themselves. It's really uncanny to me when you watch how organised teams play towards these objectives and for the points to climb that ladder and wait for the final moment that they possibly can to actually get into engagements that are going to endanger them. I've seen a lot of players wanting to sort of avoid those confrontations and go for the cover until they're pressured by a circle. Like we can see right now with Kaysun putting in some more work. So I think so far we've seen a 4K from Kaysun on stream.
He's been doing work, absolutely. You can see these guys though. They're getting kills. They're out shooting people, but they're stuck in the blue. And the blue, this circle, as soon as it finishes, it's really going to start chunking these guys who are still outside. So it probably shows the value and the importance of trying to secure vehicles early.
Down me cab and the boys up there on the northeast might be a team to keep an eye on, as they are up there in the division. Also on board now with Next Hype shooting at a Jeep moving west to east on the southwestern area of the coast of Primo right now. Looking to defend from the rear on the inner outside of that western circle. Probably a very good position with the high ground advantage that they have here and no contention at all within the next 200, 250 meters, I'd suppose. It's looking like they've got eyes on the crate as well. And we can see Extrude moving in closer on Dynomancer's position right now. Looks like they're perhaps moving in opposite directions, but Somatic and Kaysun weren't going to get put in here. We can also see DGNZ moving up towards Elders Brutal's team right from the rear, but these guys are in hard cover, and DGNZ is going to be moving through more of an unfortunate obscurity they have with concealment instead of cover by the looks of things. Right on the edge of the circle there, not working out for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's rough. Running out of the blue, dropping to hill and then getting shot is probably one of the most painful things that can happen.
Do you think anybody is going to contend for that crate right there?
These guys are close. It's fairly late game. It's fairly late
pretty
game.
Dead far in, isn't it?
Small circle, the risk is definitely there. Most people are geared up by now.
It looks like Blind Freddy's poking towards it. Like they seem
they're
interested.
thinking about it. They're definitely thinking about it. But it's risk versus reward. What are you gonna? Do you need what's in it? Probably not at this point. You probably get more value out of trying to bait other players who are silly enough to try and go for it.
In a situation like this, for someone of a higher tier caliber like yourself, do you play to defend that, or are you still looking to be offensive when you're in this particular position? If you had the sort of ground that the guys have right there near the crate.
Oh look, it's all about position, right? So if you can keep the high ground and you've got a bit of bait there, with a bit of red smoke coming out of it, that's even better. You know, it's all about position in this game. The extrude is lining up Somatic here. Gun, have a peek. You will finish him off. No.
I think he might be wary that there's perhaps some backup that Somatic might have. A smart decision in my books. You just never know unless you're 100% able to confirm whether or not they've got teammates in the area. It's always better to stay moving, like what Extrude's doing. He's staying movement on his strafes on his left and rights to avoid getting shot while he's looking to finish off that kill.
And look at that circle. The blue's going to do the work for him, so he should drop back to a good position inside the circle and then try and catch the blue runners coming through.
I did see a little bit from NZ Snapshot, Blackout, NZ and Pegan, but are they still in the game right now? Because these guys were currently right up the top of the leaderboard. So there's Extrude NZ there getting a kill on Deaders. What I'm more interested in is to see where the guys from 100% Pure Gatka and Rank Tank finish up. And there's also S-Team D. Those guys are putting in a lot of work throughout the first CGL brackets. Looking at...
Rank Tank currently at rank number 1. So those guys were in that southernmost building of Promorse. They've now moved up to the northernmost building. There's a big 3-story on that corner, which is probably a good staging position to see what the next circle does. You see Snapshot's just taken out Bacon Pac-Man. So, yep, they're definitely going to be using... Oh, no, they're in the cafe. They haven't moved all the way up, so they did the circle in the cafe. But they're going to have to start thinking about their next move now.
Like a little bit of nourishment at this point in the game, having a snack break at the cafe, it might be enough to keep them sharp and keep them on their toes. So all for them if the tactic works.
Yeah, that team that's up to the western side of the circle, Blind Freddy and Co, they're probably in the strongest position at the moment. They got some good hill, good defilade. If they can hold that, get people trying to move into the new circle, they'll probably do well.
Now, S-Team D with Blind Freddy, they're currently third in the standings at the moment. I didn't see as much of Blind Freddy. He didn't stand out as much as me in the first division for the games of the Bandana division, sorry. But now, tonight, I'm seeing quite a lot of him, and I think he might be one of the people to watch out for. I haven't seen as much of Cozy settling in tonight. It looks like Blind Freddy's really in his environment tonight.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many kills he's gotten yet, but I mean, the thing that it looks like to me, these guys understand the importance of position. They seem to be in the right place for each circle. And at the end of the day, you can be amazing shots, but if you're out of position, you're going to get done.
I'm seeing an awful lot of M4s and AKs. I think the predominant weapon at the moment, from what I can see, really is the AK.
And AK is such a beast, isn't it? So we can see here.
Although saying that,
rank tank.
You can see that the Scar and an M16 are just taking the most recent kills. So definitely not the most active right now. Another Scar popping up, another M16 popping up.
Yeah, and this
player getting two on.
This player plays and he's getting knockouts and kills all over the place. He's someone to look out for.
I think Graphite really couldn't do anything there with all of the incoming. It's a bit unfortunate being outside of the zone now, getting caught by the blue. And look at the circle where it's condensing right now. It doesn't look like there's anybody in contention with 21 left alive. So it's anybody's game right now for that hard cover. There's only 2 points of hard cover left, and I don't think I'm going to be putting my money on anyone getting into either of them without significant altercation. And some of the teams that we're seeing now straggling, IDK running solo by the looks of it in the mid-south-southwest, as we jump on board with Spacey right next to his boy Mango's right there. Looking down on the shack. I think he can see two behind it, moving left to right or east to west.
Yeah, and Shero's quite low there. One hit, yeah, there you go. One hit and he's knocked. So now he should be baiting
Shero
the...
down.
He should... It looked like he got knocked there, didn't it? Yeah, it did. So Shero's down.
Definitely got knocked.
Looks
now that's
like...
Spacey from Team D. So these guys need to put in the work now to make these points significant for the next coming games. If they can get a real foothold on the first game of tonight's division, they can really set the precedent for what needs to be expected for the rest of the 3 rounds and put other people out of their mental game tonight.
Yeah, look, I don't envy Shero and co at the moment. They're in a terrible position in that hut. They've got a fair bit of ground to cover, and they've got the guys uphill who are going to have them pinned in there pretty hard. So I doubt they're going to get across the road. It looks like it's going to come down to Blind Freddy's group, who again, they look at the position that they're getting. They're going to be in the prime spot for this last shrink.
I think you're right, and there are some connotations to that particular cover that Shero was using, and they'll definitely get treated like how they'd call it on the street. So unfortunate for them, they did take the knockdown, which is going to sustain more of a critical impact later if another knockdown does come, especially closer to this end of the circle, because the bleed out time is going to only increase as these teams get closer and closer as they condense towards the center of the current evolution of the circle.
So I think I just saw Zoid belt out of there in a UAZ. So Zoid might have got into the circle.
I'm going to apologise to the viewers. I made a bad call earlier. I thought that it was Zoid that actually got finished off. I must have seen the knockout. So thanks for picking up on that nut shot. You've brought a little bit of light to that. Made a bad call earlier.
This is quite interesting. So those guys got down to that house. So Zoid's in probably the last bit of hard cover within this circle.
Now, Zoid is notoriously one of the top 10 players in the OCE scene, usually holding a place on all 3 current ranks. It'll be interesting to see how Zoid mate plays out the seasons for the first-person perspective, whether he's going to take that on board and put that under his belt as well. But definitely a strong player to watch, at least for his solo game. And while he's been playing by himself at the moment, the cover that he's in, as you pointed out, Nutshot, I think without any distractions from other teammates at this late in the game, it's going to make it easier for him to not have to worry about who's in and out of cover.
Yeah, I could have been mistaken there. Maybe I think his cabin's actually out of the circle. So, and there we go. Spacey just kills Zoid with the M249 of all weapons.
Now that's going to be an upset because that's going to put Team D in further better for contention to be getting higher points now. These guys are sitting in number 3 on the ladder. Spacey now knocking out Extrude. Spacey putting in the kind of work in this match tonight that we saw from Cozy from CGL 1 for the Bandana division. Definitely the player to be watching tonight.
Absolutely. That M249 is just shredding people.
Oh, boy. He just picked up backstreets as well. So Spacey is completely on a roll right now.
And that's the game.
Putting in the work. Last three kills, I believe there. No, sorry, last 2 kills there, I think, were from Spacey.
Yep, so 14 kills for that group. That's team, isn't it? Yeah, so that's a pretty strong effort. And look, again, I'll say it again, shows the value of strong position.
Now, the only unfortunate thing to the scoring system that they currently have in PUBG is that it's difficult to see what assists players are putting in. A lot of people don't get valued by the amount of kills that they get. So when you break things down, you can't see how much damage a player is outputting in the particular match or how many knockdowns they're putting in to contribute, not just to people in their team getting kills, but other people picking off the kills. It's interesting to see how those things pan out because you can see some of the higher teams up here who placed top 5. The kills are a little bit lower than what you might expect for top 5 teams. So I think there's a lot of trading there and a lot of external group impact, which is affecting some of the kills that you can see on the scoreboard as of current. But a very exciting match. Did you pick any of these teams as what you would have said would be on the leaderboard, or someone underdog tonight, Nutshot?
No, look, no huge surprises there. It's good to see that Zoid and Shero and V have next type have pulled through into a third. You know, they're all strong players. I think they've had a bit of bad luck in some of the previous games. But look, I'm really impressed by Steamed and what they've done in this game. Good positioning, by the looks of it, really strong communication, and then good shooting to back it up. And that's what you need to be successful in PUBG.
All right, well, we'll be back with Game 2 for the Bandana division soon, and we will be right back probably the next couple of minutes. We just take a quick break in between, so Shout out to the guys over at PUBG OCE for putting this on in the meantime, and also shout out to Archer on the camera works, putting in a great job tonight. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to CGL Season 2 Division 1, or the Bandana Division. This is Game 2 of the second round of CGL matches for the night. I'm joined with Nutshot AU, and I am your host with the most forehead, Suko Video. How you going, Nutshot?
Yeah, good, Suko. Thanks, mate. Well, that was a pretty interesting first round. So first round of 3 that's going to happen tonight. I was really impressed with how Steamed played that game. They seemed to have good awareness of their position and the landscape, and you know, seemed to have pretty good comms. They worked well together. VFox held in there quite well to secure Team Benevolent second place as well, and then of course avoid the Zoid coming in third. So no, look, great game. So we've got about 30 seconds before round 5 of night 2 kicks off. See what sort of circle we're going to get.
Could I also mention, I did see Extrude trying to put in quite a bit of work there for Team Benevolence. Not only VFox putting it through the hole there, but definitely those last few evolutions, I did see a little bit coming through, shining from Extrude there. So it'll be interesting to see how their chemistry works out in this match.
Yeah, look, and I guess that question of whether Steamed went for that crate was answered when we saw that M249 cutting people down. That was, I think that was a bit of a game turner for them at the end as well. It's such a powerful weapon. And
hard to use at full auto at distance, but when you're in that close to the final evolutions, the circle, it's just a meat grinder, isn't it? It
is, absolutely. So, so we can see that plane. We could see that plane was heading in on a northwest direction. So easy jumps for Novo. Probably Lipovka's going to get hit here as well, I would think. It's the sort of spread you'd expect to see. There'll be people holding on to jump. There'll definitely be a team going Severny at least. Georgia Pole will be busy, I would think, and there's probably going to be long shooters for Yaz as well.
Just while we're in the slow drop part of the game early, we saw Stan coming with that chicken dinner there. There's 3 more dinners up for grabs for rotisserie chicken acquisition for the night. And on the topic of dinner, just for everybody in the chat, maybe they want to spam what they've had themselves for dinner. I've been having a little bit of pizza. What about yourself, Nutshot?
What did I have for dinner? It's very boring. I had brown rice and vegetables, and it was delicious. Thank you.
Still not a chicken dinner, and I got to say I'm a little bit envious of the guys from Steamed.
Yeah, no, they did well. Okay, so we can see there's looks like a team dropping Severny and possibly another squad dropping at the firing range. Looks like 1 squad North George, 1 squad South George. 2 squads in Yas, and is that someone taking damage already? It looks like they might.
Milter might be a couple of altercations going on there. I think you're right.
Absolutely, Milter's going to be busy as well. So there's two squads in there as well, and looks like some other guys have opted to do some compound hopping. So that circle, it looks like we saw the edge of it. Looks like it's going to be a pretty middle top of circle. Looks quite central if we saw the edge of it just there. So Hawkins is on about 5% health. So I don't know what's actually happened there. They must have butted heads with someone already. He is not looking good. He needs to get a first aid kit pronto.
I think he's looking marvellous. I'm loving his development outfit that he's got there. I'm quite jealous of it. I think I might have to play a few games with him and see if he'd lend that shirt to me, because it doesn't seem that any of us are going to get a chance to wear one of them anytime soon unless you're in this particular game with him and get a drop on the Milter. We move a little bit closer into Palop and the boys down there, just on the northern side of the eastern end. And I think Ray QD out there, is that a Glock? No, I think it's the P18, isn't it? Say that's the Glock. I think he might have is it the 92? 9mm? Yeah, looks like
it's hard to tell. Hard to tell, but he needs to find a better weapon than that pretty quickly. Yeah, so Yilar's across on that roof. He's got a car. If he's got a scope on that car, there we go. He's got a 4 times already. So this is going to be pretty dangerous for any other groups in this town at the moment.
We'll move further back out, having a look. We can see Downey Cab just up there in DJ at the moment, just to the south side of the, I suppose it's the firing range up there. Further on the west, over on the north side, we can see Olsey in the Georgia Pole area. And then on the south side, we've got, is that 2 squads? I think there might be a little bit of contact about to happen down there at Georgia Pole. It might be worth investigating. We can see also Bouncy Butts currently just down far south, southwest, or taking damage incoming by the look of it. No, didn't sustain a down there, but I Love Spaghetti's team converging as well from the east to west, flying along that south to western MSR.
Yes, it looks like Bouncy's group is looting Fishing Village. You'll probably find someone will be definitely heading down to Primorsk as well. It's quite a good place to loot up. And with this central circle, it's not far to get up the west coast and get back in quite easily. George is looking pretty good. You've got a squad north, a squad south. They're all going to loot up quite safely. Plenty of loot there. The 2 squads at Yass seem to have opted to take both the east and west side of the town each. So they're going to loot up fairly safely as well. You know, that's usually how it works at Yaz. People at either end, people start moving in towards each other and eventually bump heads. So it looks like we do have multiple groups in Primorsk, or the Dr. Shabs might have just opted to leg it.
Yeah, we're on board here with Mozart, but probably about 1.5 kilometres over at Ferry Pier. Spaghetti's boys in contact now with the guys there at Kamikaze, and then squeezed in between them. Probably going to have a choke here towards the zone is Bouncy Butts and the boys. And last we saw Bouncy Butts, he didn't have a weapon. We've got Spaghetti on board with him now with the pump action shotty. And it looks like it's about 50 metres between these 2 teams, just towards C7, C6 right now. On board with Varillos. See if he picks up the can. Doesn't pick up the can. Not many players really looking like they're playing early for the optimizing of vehicles. One of the more powerful things I see for players that have been on the top of the leaderboards that I've played with and seen streams of is that they generally quite early on grab 1 gas can between the team. Is that something that you think will come into play later on in this game in the CGL with organised teams as an advantage?
I'll answer that in a second. For old Spaghetti, he was in an excellent position there to trap that guy. He just whiffed the shotgun shot and ended up getting knocked and then executed.
Just the strength of the P18 against that at such close range, really, isn't it?
Look, and the game's still early. The net code still needs a lot of work. A lot of the time, moving around and being a bit more mobile with the pistol rather than sitting still with a shotgun, you're gonna get the advantage. People are gonna miss those shots due to desync. But to answer your question, yeah, look, vehicles are key to getting around, to getting into position. You're playing the circle game half the time, so getting that vehicle is key to get you out of trouble if you need to. So it looks like Hawkins' squad is there's definitely been some conflict here over at Miltar.
He's still totally over under, and you can see there's an Uzi on the ground there on his right. I don't think he's going to want to swap the Uzi out for the over under, but he's going with a Sega or an AK? He's got the AK there. Very similar looking from such far away in the silhouettes, but I think as we go into sort of mid game now, the early sides of mid game, going with the AK is going to be a better decision than going the over under. Crate drop north, or I believe non or west of the Sunken City area, and we're on board with Zayas 8. Got the ghillie suit and an M249 saw. So early on, results from the end of last game, and he's traveling by ways of water at the moment. So be interesting to see how this affects the gameplay for the intermediate area of the middle of the map, because there's a lot of high ground that's going to be giving valleys and going to be very good downrange fire if he's got some good high ground there with that M249. So second drop here, Baxterix.
Yeah, Baxterix is, let's see if he gets a bit luckier. I'd much prefer a sniper rifle than an M249. Probably with the exception of the Groza. I think the Groza is my favourite crate weapon at the moment. It's just so strong. But it looks like he's got a Mark 14, actually.
So he's gone from 41 damage on the AK, on the M16, with the M14 EBR, as you mentioned, which is 60 damage. So it's definitely an improvement, at least with the travel distance he's going to be using.
Yeah, look, I'm undecided about the Mark 14. To be honest, I haven't had a good opportunity to use it enough to judge, but I think fully equipped, it's probably going to be super strong. I'd still prefer a AWM or an M24.
Now, you played a lot of armor, if I recall correctly, Nutshot. Does it feel similar? Does it act and behave similar to the EBR that you have in armor?
Again, I've only used it a few times, but no, the EBR and armor feels a bit lighter, a bit more high fire rate. But look, the gun's brand new. It's probably going to get refined, as they all sort of have, get tweaked and balanced as they go. So where it is today could be quite different from where it ends up.
There's not many games that you see the EBR in. Sorry, as you were saying, we're on board with Blackout.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so it looks like Rank Tank, which obviously guys sitting at top of the leaderboard at the moment, before tonight's games, have moved into the school area. It's quite a central position. It's quite a strong position, actually. If you get the circle starting to shrink on you, there's lots of cover. You've got high ground. You can see a fair way around you. So if you get lucky with circles, locking down that school could be quite a strong position. I think that's a pretty smart move by these guys. As long as they've got a vehicle handy, if the circle decides to shift, that's a strong position. That's smart play by the guys from Rank Tank.
It's something you don't really see very often. Before I talk about Mizzles, as we jumped on with Miggles here, you don't often see people assaulting people that are defending the school. So I'll be quite interested to see if they decide to hold that, outlasting the red zone, and if anyone decides to assault them while they're holding that, because it's not something you see very often, and it just may well happen in CGL, because as we know with CGL, anything can happen, as we do jump aboard with Grumps and Miggles.
Yeah, sorry, Sika. Yeah, people won't. I don't think people would risk it unless they had to. It's the last building in the circle. That's when you'll see people trying to breach or at least get up to those outer walls.
So Miggles and Grumps now travelling by way of motorbike or motocicleta, depending where in the world you're from. They're just to the south-southeast of the... Is it a school or a hospital? I think it's a hospital, isn't it? I believe they've got a hospital marked on the map.
It is hospital, yeah. And, great find getting a two-wheeler motorbike. In my opinion, it's the best vehicle in the game at the moment. You can get from one side of the map to the other pretty quick, and if you learn how to use your air control, you will never come off. It's just such a great vehicle to have.
It's a big if, and that's why I don't drive very often when we play together.
That's one of the reasons, CK, yes. You're banned from driving.
Now, Bouncy Butts, these guys aren't too far inland, just from the northern, or should I say east, northeastern area from Primo. They come into contact now with the Blue Dacia crossing from west to east. A couple of blood splatters coming out of the window there, but they drive on. No one down and out from the outside of the vehicle yet. One of the interesting things to take note of when assaulting a vehicle in a game of PUBG, if they manage to get the kill on someone in the vehicle, even if teams are split up, there's no way to recover your friend and pick them out. There's no DBNOs in those situations.
Yeah, that's unlucky. That was a missed opportunity there. I think maybe if Bouncy's teammate was shooting with him, they definitely could have dropped someone out of that car and taken a dent out of that squad. And you look at that circle shrink. That's as south as you can pretty much get in that outer circle. So, Bouncy and Co in good position already. They haven't got far to the next circle. The guys in Pachinki are looking pretty strong at the moment. They're probably well looted up from spending time in that town.
Pachinki not having as much interest, as I said earlier in the first round, that you're seeing in CGL. Not many teams are taking advantage of the high loot areas in large, I suppose, large congregations of squads. You're seeing a couple of stragglers here and there going through them after the initial launch into the map as they parachute their way out. But as the stragglers start to come through, there's a lot of loot in areas like this that are going to stay unchecked. It doesn't seem that players want to go into the classical hardcover first-person shooter deathmatch scenario. They're definitely playing for points, and they would rather hold out the woods than hold themselves out in a area like this with Pachinki, where there's so much hard cover and buildings they can use to obscure themselves. It's, I suppose, a difficult call to make when the circle's so central in the map. Nutshot, would you think that it's a smarter move to sort of hole up in one side of the town here in Pachinki and wait the circle out, or would you want to press on in an open area?
Absolutely. These guys are very central. They've got lots of cover, lots of good roofs to get onto. As you can see, Rum almost dropped Bouncy. Then that was pretty close.
Bouncy in a bad way right there. He's in a big ditch.
Yeah, I don't know where his squad mates are. He's going to need some help here, especially the position Rum's got is very strong. But to answer your question, yes, you can see the meta change. You know, people played the first CGL. They'd die in early fights. They'd get into good gunfights early, but they would not be able to survive to the end. And then people
Toby just got knocked out of that Dacia there with Stacky, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry to interrupt you there, but that's going to put Toby in a really bad position. Stacky's not going to be able to come back and save the day by the looks of things.
Yeah, no, he's done. He is done. One more shot, and there he goes. Yeah, you can see the meta change. So people avoided the big towns at the start and opted to go to the extremities or to the smaller places to loot up. And then people cottoned onto that. And then the counter-strike came in where you see teams start to go for the popular spots that are no longer popular, like Millbase and Pachinki and School and stuff like that. That will keep changing and keep evolving as people keep stratting and counter-stratting. It's quite interesting to see how it changes, and it'll change from season to season.
Looks like another crate just popped up from Oceania, just to the west side of just under the bridge. It's probably already been picked up, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, unless we see Kettle decide to head up north for it. Although his teammate just going down there into DBNO. Next hype, popping off a few shots there at the boys. So that'll explain what's happened there. One of his teammates looks like taking out the vehicle's tyres to prevent their escape. Yeah,
these guys are stuffed. And look, I mean, you watch Next Type play. He's quite a smart player and he's quite a good shot. He'll move into a better position, try and get an angle on him, and these guys will be combing with each other. There he goes. He gets the knock on Trashmang, and V's got the knock on his teammate. So they would have moved left and right, then split them behind that tiny tree, and those guys will be finished off pretty soon.
It is CGL though. Anything can happen, but it looks like Next Type taking out the trash with that kill there on Trashmang.
Oh, and, that was beautiful.
1793 getting the kill there on Hard Meme as well. So a bit more of a soft meme, I'd say, if he's not making it much further than the top 85 players. But to mention that, there are still 85 players, and what are we on? Circle number 3 in this evolution right now, as we can see IDK and Miggles coming in from Gatka. So it looks like they'll loot up to the hospital, even though their backtracker now has worked out for them.
Yeah, these numbers are crazy, and you can that's people playing so sadly. We've got a bit of an action sequence happening outside the school.
This is the strength of 6 screens, Nutshot. Have you seen Snapshot set up? Anyone in the stream has not seen Snapshot set up. The guy has monitors that are fit for a king of bugs. The amount of monitors
I've seen his set up. It's magnificent. The question raises, is he overcompensating for something else? I don't know.
We'll see. Depending on where he ends up at the end of this altercation at the range he's at with a 2-time scope, maybe he's undercompensating. Maybe he has the vision of a bug and therefore needs the 6 monitors. Kaysun, one of the stronger players from previous round, taking cover there, doing a bit of a hippie tree hug while he bandages his wounds. And I guess you could say he had his route down right there while he's running back to the south area of where he's taking contact from. I believe he was above apartments there. Not too... I'm just going to stop myself there as we jump on board with Shero, putting some rounds down range on the hay bales there. Is that Backstrix that he's taking shots at in the team that are down that side, with Sting 17 out there just dying outside play zone from DBNO by the look of things?
Couldn't quite see, but good tactic by the Zoid squad, punishing those guys coming out of Yass late, just sitting up on that hill. It's quite a popular spot to do that sort of play and just take your team out of contention.
If there was an Antarctic map, do you know what they'd call Zoid? They'd call him Zoidberg, because he is a doctor. We're going to jump on board with Aussie here. Going DBNO inside on top of this rug. Unfortunately, it's not a magic carpet. It's not going to be able to save the day there. But we can see Happy in no Vites now. Look, again, he's got some good angles. We last joined Happy with another good angle in the first round of the night, and it just looks like he has something for the high ground supremacy in these matches.
Yeah, this is the circle I like to call the dentist circle, because you got 2:30, 2 minutes 30 seconds, 2:30, get it? So these guys have to start getting into those fights and looking for a way to make that move into the next circle.
Well, we're about to see things go from 2:30 nut shot to 7:30 if you get that one, where you go 7:30 is if you guys don't know if it's going to top of your heads, when they used to hand out the medicine in the insane homes. So things are about to get completely crazy while they dial it right up to 5 on the toaster. As he jumps back down to cover there, you can see Vite's taking a couple of bites, but I don't think he's too worried because the high ground advantage he has, he seems very comfortable in that situation. I think Archer's trying to let us know that there's 3 squads coming in just further off the northwest side of the map, so it's going to condense down even more for these guys. You can see Extrude starting to move away from no Vites. I'm not sure if they've communicated with Vites that they need to pop up, because we can see that looks like their team up there is going to get pincered in that particular location that they're at as we jump on board with nobody AU.
Yeah, and I mean these guys he's right on the edge of the circle there. But if you can look at Rank Tank's positioning, how that's paying off. Look at that shrink, coming in around the school. They've got a very strong position there. You'll start to see people moving in. Rozok guys will definitely move into Rozok, Watertown. And these compounds down where we're looking now, these are 2 very strong compounds as well, and they're back onto the defilades and the hills between the school and Watertown.
We just spotted Snapshot and the boys still there, very, very capable and very comfortable inside the school. Except Blackout NZ putting the pressure on right now.
It looks like they might have actually, someone's tried to breach them. They're getting breached here now, so...
As we said, anything can happen in CGL, and as mentioned earlier, I've never seen anyone go for the assault on the school when people are hard pointed on it. And it looks like Pekin and Blackout and Extreme have just gone the opposite direction, straight against the grain, right up the middle, and got themselves some higher education on that one.
Yeah, I think they schooled those guys that came in, didn't they? That was fantastic. So, pretty much like I said before, no one's going to try and breach it until that circle is going to be squeezing people into that centre of the map. So, we can see the zone's about halfway in now. So, this next shrink is going to be the key to how this game's going to end up. It's going to tell us who's got the strongest position and where these fights are going to end up. Deaders is picking across to that garage. This is quite a strong house Deaders is in. We call this one God House. It's quite a good central position to secure. You got that barn behind it on the road as well. I think we just had a airplane take off.
Oh, it looks like Kamikaze's just gone down far west of the circle. And we can also see Next Type putting in a few rounds.
Oh, snap. Look at that circle. Okay, so the guys in Watertown are in probably the best position. Also, these guys north at the old hard spawn at north of Water City. That's an excellent compound to hold as well. You've got a 3-story roof up there that you can get on top of. So I think this is going to be a real cluster for these guys getting over the defilades. A lot of people are going to die here.
Just the western Navoj, man. Kamikaze's going to die outside the zone. It's really unfortunate to be in this position. You remember from CGL 1 where you get so many players condensing in, and there's always one person in a team that's going to get separated. If you don't get in early, you're going to end up with a demise. We can see their Kamikaze going down outside the circle. There's just nothing that can be done. If his teammates go back for him while they're in contact, taking incoming fire, there's just going to be less of an opportunity for them to climb that leaderboard and be able to sustain or gain more points to keep moving up. So it's vital to be on the inner linking of the circle, like where these guys are right now inside the ruins, so they can move up and take their time during crunch time when the circle starts to go into its next evolution. As we see now, Vodge and Sticks and Stones going into an altercation here. Sticks and Stones going down to Vodge, gets in with the Scar L. 65 players left alive. You can see Gummy and the boys moving up to support him now. Really close, but no cigar. They have Sticks and Stones, but it's a little bit hard to do on your own in that situation, especially when he's got that much backup. There's probably nothing he could have done right there as we jump on board with nice mangoes.
Nice Mangoes, what a name. That's a fantastic name. So it looks like I think
it's a beautiful name, Nutshot.
Yeah, he's got some guys pinned in there. That's actually looks like that's the S-Team D guys or the steamed guys who are pinned down behind that building.
More like nice floorboards, right? As Segredo coming into hard contact there. Jeez, not even phased. Not even phased at all.
Was that Segredo who did that great breach in the last round?
Yeah,
I think it was.
Right here, doing pretty much the same premise, just straight upstairs, full auto for it. Might see the same here again from his perspective. Oh, the door is closed. This generally poses a threat when the door opens inwards and you're sitting in a room there trying to camp it. Oh, someone is going full deep. Full deep. Segredo coming in to go full auto. Moving up on the west side of the wall. Helmet though on Blind Freddy. Definitely got the 2020 vision there. I think we should change Blind Freddy's name to just Bug Eyes right now because he's just stolen that role from Next Life. He can see everything that's coming at him as he bandages up right now. He's definitely got his helmet on nice and tight, that little stack hat he's got there.
Those guys just held on there. I think they were getting penetrated quite hard and they managed to hold off. Look,
that was definitely an impregnable position. No matter how deep that penetration was right there, I think he held his own and he pulled off what we needed to see for the end game when it gets to the climax at the end of the round.
Come on. You can't do that to me.
Okay, so as we run on board now with the boys in Rosso right in the middle with Miggles in the best position, I think, to sustain the eligibility for the win. Unfortunately, though, it does pose the threat of taking it from all angles as you've got Next Hype, I believe, still rocking the M249, if I'm not mistaken, got the ghillie suit and everything. So it's actually, here we go. It's Zayas that's holding it at the moment. I might have been mistaken. I thought it might have been Next Hype. Unless they've both got one, which...
It looks like next time Void and V are over to the east on the back of that hill. So they're going to be trying to hold that high ground and push in on the other side of the hill. Fairly strong position, but they are going to have to push down into the open, so they're going to get punished.
I think Pekin was running an AMD card by the looks of things.
Oh, have we sent a molecule? No?
No, not yet. Not yet.
There? Oh, that was
But
close.
Things are starting to heat up, so you never know what could happen. It's getting very explosive right now.
It's getting hot in here, so please don't take your clothes off.
Unless it poses a tactical advantage. If you were trying to blend in with the closed lines and the hills hoists in the area, this residential area, Sunken City. As we can jump on board with Ray QT. I hope I'm not butchering that name. Some of these names are a little bit strange to be able to pronounce straight off the top of the head, but Ray QT starting to pop up on my radar a little bit more in the last match, and this match particularly. Extreme 2G shooting uphill there. Getting closer as he pushes on Elders Brutal, looking for with the finalisation right there, and just going to sit back. And who was that just pulled up from behind there?
Don't know. It was a bit hard to see, but another quality player, Extreme 2G.
I think it's Down Me Cab still inside the building. Yeah, it is by the look of it. So Down Me Cab and his neighbour Extreme 2G really not getting along at the moment. So there might be a little bit of a housing dispute, and we can see Navoj actually moving up, one of the more involved commenting players on the process of the CGL. Like to voice himself a little bit during the proceedings before we manage to make a few changes in this current season. So it'd be interesting to see how he plays this out, because he sounds like someone who's a bit turned on and has paid a bit of attention to the information that's being shared for these matches for the CGL. Some of the players, they just go with straight skill off top. Some people are real tacticians, so we get on top here with Bouncy Butts.
You watch these numbers.
Low HP. That's really
30, 35 alive. This circle is coming in fast. These numbers are going to drop significantly on this push. That blue's going to be doing a lot of work.
But look, this is Blackout NZ. Hard and fast is where we always see him perform at the end of the game. He's comfortable when the wrecking ball starts coming in. Likes to be on the edge of the circle from what we've seen from the first round as he tries to get his sights on Navoj. Already down though, so no need there to get the commit for that kill. Blackout NZ putting down a few shots down range. Didn't get that actual DBNO. Didn't get the finalisation on it either. I think it was Zoidmate and Meow getting some shots off there. Downhill game right now for these guys right there on the river. Is not going to pay very good positioning for them. Grump's in good positioning, but he's very exposed. This is very, very dangerous because, again, two squads on the river just to the northwest in D4, D5, trying to go for the revive resin on IDK as Blackout and Extreme. Now, this is actually unfortunate because of the res. Blackout and IDK are going to be able to, Blackout and Extreme 2G are going to be able to probably get a little bit closer into the important area of the zone as they come out of Sunken City. I don't know if this is going to pay off. For you in your particular experience, would you say what Grumps is doing, holding the ground that he has now, is worthwhile while he's in a position where he's surrounded by so many different teams?
Look, the high ground's always going to be of benefit, right? So you try and get your picks. The pressure might be on the guys around the water to start pushing up first. So you'll be able to execute them running up, leaving for the blue and run into the circle yourself.
I don't know if it's just me, but it definitely looks like Avoid the Zoid really like these little FB huts.
Look, it's hard cover, right? So playing hard cover is smart. You can only get shot from certain angles.
Perhaps once they see that opportunity, they just go straight for them. If the longer the first person in it, prevents anyone else going for it as well. As Zapruder gets completely blinded right here. I think a mini solar system just went off to the north of Sunken City, and Zapruder was right in the middle of the supernova. Pulling out right now from the perspective of Archer as we go into bird's eye view, looking right over this very small evolution of the circle, we see 12 APB over there in the north area, right next to that. Is it a burning body? I think. I can't tell if that was a body burning or not, but there's definitely some flames going up there in the north as Zoidmate pushes on some hard cover. Only threat that he's got is to the north in D6, about 120, 130 meters. Might even be closer, might even be within 100 meters range. As right in front of me, you can see Quack and Meow now trying to get in real close. Zoid pulling out, cooking off smoke by the look of it. I think he's going to try and go for low ground and just get inside of that render distance for the grass to make it effective. As 12 APBs doing the exact same thing. This is going to be very, very difficult for 12 APB the closer and closer they get, because when they start to range their shots while they're in the long grass, he doesn't have a helmet. The bandana is not going to be enough to protect him here, even though we are in the bandana division. But without that helmet, it's just not really going to be able to be very good for him to even try and engage if he gets the drop on somebody. Although he does have a Kar 98, it might be worthwhile for him to try and get a DBNO on a teammate and finish off here. But he's taken some shots in, high ground on V1793. 1793 exposing himself now, but the smoke is to his advantage as he moves towards Meow. Also, now pulling out the UMP.
Yep, 2v1. One of them's knocked. So the guys are doing the right thing. They're putting the pressure on Meow, pushing up, trying to they're using that smoke.
Meow baiting, got a grenade out. He's gone back to the AK. Probably not the smart move. I think if he pulled that grenade out in time, he might have been able to delay the inevitable. I'm not going to say that I think it would have worked to get him the win, but I think he definitely could have got a couple more points up there. Those little bonus points you get at the end of the rounds might be enough to shift the weight towards the end of the season. May not particularly be in the same night for the CGL rounds, but Zoidmate sustaining top 5 so far in 2 for 2 going top 5.
Yeah, well played by those guys. They what they came out with that with 15 kills in their group. So that was a pretty good effort.
So top kills for the night. It looks like it's at least for the top 5 tied between 1793 and Zoid. And we look further down the ladder, it's a little bit more sporadic. Most teams sort of picking up somewhere in the vicinity of, I'd say, maybe 4 to 11 by the looks of it, from teams 6 to 11 down there as well. So Zapruder putting in a little bit of work tonight, and Case and Merrick and Somatic keeping themselves on the ladder for the top 5 for round 2. IDK, Grumps, Miggles. As I said, Grumps starting to come back on the leaderboard. We can see him having a little bit more play. Haven't seen him as much since first CGL, but definitely in Bandana Division for tonight, he's been putting in a bit of work. Also, 12 APB, managing to stay in the zone so late without a helmet. Very ballsy move there, and definitely committed to getting the points for his team. So it looks like we're going to be back in a moment. We're just going to transition out into an intermission between rounds 2 and 3. We'll see when we get back. Welcome back to Tuesday's CGL. I'm your host, Suko Vidya, alongside my co-host, OCE, currently and always will be number one, Nutshot AU. How are you, buddy?
Good, Suko. I think you've got something stuck in your throat there, mate.
Yes, half a microphone. Just let me pull that out for you while we get into round 3, last round of the night for PUBG OCE Bandana Division in CGL Season 2. We've seen some exciting rounds so far. Nutshot, what's been your standout for the night so far?
Look, I think the first game was pretty good. We've seen what some of the high-ranked players can do out in the public servers. It's good to see some of the other players coming up through the ranks perform well in a league format like this. Look, again, the highlight of the night for me has been S-Team D or Steamed, and I'm interested to see how those guys perform in this third and final match of the night. Look,
since Bouncy Butts has been getting so much airtime tonight, he's been asking me for a favour to give his boy Baden a shout-out. So shout-out to Baden. As long as Bouncy Butts keeps up the good work, then I might pay attention to his requests. But unfortunately, if he's unable to and he dies early, I think that might be the last shout-out. So your shout-outs from in the future are in the hands of Bouncy Butts' capable trigger fingers. As we move into the drop zone now, as we go into the final round of the CGL Season 2 Bandana Division Night 2. Coming in from the southwest.
Yeah, new plane for the night, so heading up to the northeast. Good opportunities here for people to get that good speed. We'll probably see some guys go military. I'm going
to call a high amount going for military, because anyone who was paying attention to how No Joke pulled it off in 2 games in the last CGL for High Top Division have to know that it's going to be a key element to be able to get the amount of gear that they got early on, because they were able to play the distance game. So we're seeing now a 50-50 split by the look of it, going southeast and northwest. Interesting to see how many will actually land at Novoprnoi or how many will go to Sosnovka, not to disregard the guys going to the northwest and central northern areas.
Yeah, look at that flying V formation. That's beautiful to watch. Yeah, I'm surprised no one's actually going to take that easy long fly to Primorsk. It's such a good place to loot up. But looks like a lot of guys are going to be heading, trying to get across up to George. Yas looks like it's going to be quite busy again. Looks like actually some people might have changed their mind. They're going to try and head north, land at the compound north of the Yas River. And possibly some other guys are going to head up to Severny.
See Zayas8, Babyface, Serial, Downby Cab moving to the south-southwest or west-southwestern area, just to the northeast of Primorsk. Zayas8 was the one that was rocking the bushy Wookiee ghillie suit, and also had the M249 saw. So was definitely some of the team members to be watching. Babyface, Downby Cab, Zayas. These guys, they tend to be in the top 10 in their divisions as they progress throughout the CGL. So interesting to see how they go throughout these qualifying rounds, going into the CGL finals further down in the season. Now the circle just popping up in the south-southeastern side, and it's funny because it was very, very far to the west, came in probably central, left of central. Now it's hard to the east, all the way around Milter Power. Now, I personally want to see it come around Milter Power. I know for yourself, Nutshot, you don't really like it when there's a lot of bushes or a lot of cover in the end zones. But personally for me, I think it's a much more exhilarating and entertaining end, especially for something in this high tier of skill from players, to see how they utilize the cover that's going to be available. So if it comes into that, it'll be very interesting to see.
Well, that coastal on the east side there, there's plenty of cliffs and plenty of areas for guys to dig in along the coast there. So you'll probably find teams that will be moving into position all on that coast, sort of east of Milter and south of the power plant.
Looks like a big Pardon me there, I had to belch. Looks like a big advantage to the guys that already landed in the southeast. And we're on board with Spacey. Definitely somebody to keep an eye on from the progression of the proceedings tonight as he drifts right around to the cafe here in Severny. Looking to pick himself something to bite up. And I don't know if he's found... Is that a Uzi? Looks like an Uzi. He's definitely picked up a 9mm SMG. Definitely an Uzi. Going also... I don't know if he's going to pick the revolver up. No, just grabs the ammunition and... not disregarding the gas can, as I said in round 2. These players who go for the gas early, especially when you're this far up in Severny, smart play. Smart play. Just got to point that out because a lot of people would disregard that when it becomes too late, you don't have a car, or the car that you find is going to be too low on gas and you come into an altercation on the way down there, it's going to put you in a very, very difficult situation. So well played there to him for that, for being so resourceful.
And so we've had someone drop already here. It looks like maybe someone got run over, jockeying for position. I didn't actually catch who that was that got killed there.
But Nice Mango's having a very fruitful first run at the moment as he heads into Severny coming up from the southwest.
I know there's a fruit pun there somewhere, but let's look at what these guys are going to end up doing in this town. So it looks like we've got 2 groups moved into this town, so we could have some early action here. They're obviously going to be aware.
It's Trash Mang, isn't it? And Hard Meme. Yeah, moving up in the church towards Spacey. Now, Spacey by himself, but he's going to be aware. He's going to be very aware because they're making a lot of noise there on the motorcycle. And I think he's shooting at them with a 9mm by the sound of it. Still got that Uzi on board. And Trash Mang, now they're going to be moving into contact very closely just to the northern side here of Stabler. Who's that they're moving up on? JC right now. Yeah, they're getting very close proximity.
Yeah, that just shows the power of the motorbike. It's such a good vehicle to get yourself in and out of trouble. It's so hard to shoot people when a motorcycle's picked up speed. Whoever was on the back there was quite low of health, so just 1 or 2 of those bullets would have, or the Uzi bullets would have knocked him out for sure.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of having somebody ride on the rear of the motorcycle with you. Is if you don't have armor, or you have armor, but you've essentially got double the HP because there's somebody there on the back. So I always prefer to be driver in those situations for that reason.
Yeah, there's nothing like a meat shield. That's true.
It's basically a walk and shopping cart. If they do go down and perish, at least your teammate is good for having ticked up a few of the things on your grocery list. As we hover over the top of Yaz right now, we're looking at Meow. Looks like he's in a house made of yarn. No, it's finally loaded in. Holding the AK standard mag, perhaps, with a silencer on it. Okay, so Meow got the upper hand in this close range situation. Moving up on the side of the RV, about to be exposed from the rear, trying to regroup with his homies right now. But crossing over that line right now with the high ground of the guys at the apartments, not having a line of sight, but it looks like there was an aggressor there right in the middle of the P of Pollyanna. And he moves into safety on the lower side of the east side apps as we move back out. Having a look at the playgrounds right now, we can definitely see that Yaz is unfulfilled as far as anyone condensing there on it. We can also see the big drop zone right now. CERN right in the midst of it as the bombing zone ends, and there's another one popping up right towards them as they've got to go into the circle. Plenty of time to get around it while the circle starts to envelop on them. Spacey, Mangoes, Blind Freddy, close proximity in Severny. Things are going to pop off in a short time because we can see that a couple of teams are going to have to start condensing down that main MSR, either that or around the east side coast. So still a big circle, 89 players left alive. It'd be interesting to see who goes out early because knowing this is the last match of the night, it can really change the morale settings for these teams. CERN also rocking the 9mm Uzi. No extended mag attachment. Comes across the M16, puts out 41 damage. It's going to be a good trade if he decides to take that up, but I don't think he had a secondary, so taking that on board as a primary, going to do him some justice. We jump on board with Shane right now. Right behind, hold on, looks like a rock. It is a rock that just loaded in a couple of barrels. Well, maybe a couple of tens of barrels right in front of him. In contact right now on the west side of Novoprenoi. Not sure where the contact is coming from, but from our perspective, we can see that he's not in too much danger right now. Perhaps Winnie Red might have been better off with a lower strength. Maybe a Winnie Blue or Winnie Gold would have allowed him to live a little bit longer there and breathe easier. But by the looks of things, his lungs are still in pretty good shape. Might be his first down. Bacon Pac-Man right now, probably looking to gobble up a couple of ghosts if he can get the bleed out here on Winnie Red. Just going to make his maneuver now on the north, heading towards his teammate. of looking at the RV, can't see Winnie right now, so unable to smoke him, but he might be able to pick up a kill here if he decides to get a bit of a lighter move. No, he's going to go for the revive now, which is good team play. It's what you want to see early stage of the game. You don't want to let your teammates bleed out too early because that's going to be a really big hit to the team morale. With Tismi Jeebus on the high ground. Very, very stable right now. He's happy where he is. Going to hold this to try and smokes Winnie Red right there. Pack a day he is right now. Tismi Jeebus got himself one.
That was an execution. That was an absolute execution. So there's very good value in executing the knockouts, especially in this format game. Hurt people, hurt them early. If you can get rid of someone who's knocked, do it. Don't try and bait them out. Just finish them.
I don't think he realises that he got the kill there on Winnie. So, and I got to mention, I haven't seen much of Tismi Jeebus, if not at all. So, it's good to see some of these people that infrequently get time on the stream. It's interesting to see how people that aren't always there, top dogging it, play. Maybe it's not always the way that they play, it's just the way that other people play them or outplay them, or the way the meta works against some people that aren't following that same meta. So, very interesting to see what's going to unfold here as Outlier finishes off Shane right now. And Bacon Pac-Man moving in. It's in the junkyard vicinity. What do you make of that nutshot? What do you think the guys like Shane and Winnie could have done in that situation to sort of better their chances? Because we saw that Outlier was able to get picked up by his teammate there. Do you think it could have been a time for Shane to maybe make a call and go for an assault there?
Absolutely. Either put the pressure on and move in, try and use the fact that the guys are knocked out and the other guy's low. You know, instead he opted to sit there, let them heal up, let them scope for where he was, get the reses, and then you saw at the end he just got surrounded and absolutely wrecked. I'm not sure what happened to the rest of his team, but yeah, I think he got killed by indecision there. You either to try and get out or flick the switch, go aggressive, and try and make a play.
Farking right now is rocking his ability to defend, trying to hold up somewhere between a rock and a hard place for cover. He hasn't got any pants on. It's an interesting move for cover. If you're going to try and blend in with a rock, I suppose if you had pasty white legs, it might work for your advantage. Kind of like Jam Drop right here. I think actually the silhouette that he's going to be projecting is going to work in his favour against a rock like this. I haven't really thought of it like that. Same way that people would utilise a ghillie suit against a ground or against a tree perhaps or a bush. So maybe there is something I'm missing as to why people like to dress in the IRS Taxman ATO shirts over there. But Jam Drop definitely trying to get his spread on here, and hopefully he gets on a roll.
Well, you know what they say, Suko, about guys wearing short sleeve shirts. They like to defend the right to bear arms.
You're bad. Oh, that got me good. I didn't expect that one. We can see Hard Meme again. Hard Meme's getting a lot of airtime tonight. Oh no! Right in the sides, Jam Drop doesn't take that situation and escalate it. He looks like he's traveling a little bit closer, maybe to try and get a big assault drop here by the sound of things. Or perhaps he got the push call from his team just saying start running. I think it might have been that situation. He might have been relaying comms saying, look, there's 4 bad guys here. The porridge in the big bear's house. It's starting to cool off. Time to start running as we jump on board with Cernexus. Right now, not appearing to be in too much danger, but the circle is in very close proximity, so might be looking for stragglers right now. Doesn't appear to be very well looted. Looks like he's got himself a lifeline jacket. Perhaps trying to upgrade that to a PLAYERUNKNOWN'S coat or something if he does get lucky here. 4 times ACOG, looking at the buggy right now. Only 1 in tow from what we can see. Gets a hit. Extreme 2G. Knocking out Disco Viking.
Yeah, look, Disco Viking. I think
too much disco.
Yeah, I think it was Disco Viking. He drove out of that blue with about 5 health points, and he was probably, yes, I made it, and he pulled up and got shot in the face. So that was pretty unlucky on his part.
As we are on board now with Pekin, one of the other stronger players from this CGL bracket. Pekin, not so much time in the limelight, but you definitely see him ripping in the kill feeds mid to late game with 77 players.
Yeah, Pekin definitely an underrated player. He's a very strong player. I've seen him play before. He's smart and he's got excellent aim. Definitely an underrated player.
He's moving in to probably pick up his buddies here. Extreme definitely put in some interesting plays tonight. Also some very well utilization of his trigger work there when he just knows when to engage players. And I think his distancing and ranging that he's got, he must have down pat right now, because he was a really effective takedown there as we've jumped on board with Synexus again. Now, you got Snapshot, Blackout, NZ, Pekin, all in very close proximity. And his teammate Rum is in very, very dangerous situation right now. If Synexus doesn't push up, I feel like the demise is going to come to Rum if he pushes on that tree, because it's only about 100 meters across the road. He's in the lower part of the ground right now, just above this death lane, which is going to put him in a very bad position if these guys get hard cover, watching as players need to move from west to east. You can always go prone in these situations, but as you can see, there's after a certain distance, the grass. Okay, so Rum's pulling back. Very smart decision right now, especially with a level 1 helmet. I think
absolutely. I was about to say, he looking at the time, he needs to make that decision to get out now. Those other guys probably more than likely have a vehicle, which we know they did. So he's actually got to start pushing and getting into a better position. So these guys look like they're going to try and squeeze up to wrap around to the shorter side of that circle. But looking at where they are and the time left, they're probably going to have to run a straight line just to get into the next zone. Yeah, we can see a crate's dropped over here. Was that south of Milta? I wonder if these guys have actually looted. Yeah, it looks like they have looted it. Muxie's got an AWM in his hand, so definitely.
If we can get in on first-person perspective for Muxie when he pulls that out, I think he's already put it away. I was wondering if he had a scope for that one. I can't really see from it on his back, but
sure,
even with a red dot sight, it's
up onto the roof.
Yeah, but look, even with a red dot sight, they're still pretty effective at upwards of maybe 100, 200 meters, as long as you get them centered right in the middle of the reticle. Late game, what would you do in a situation with an AWM? Would you discard it for something like an ump or a Glock, perhaps, if you had to make room for that ammo, considering you're only going to have 5 and 5?
No, look, you want to keep the AWM in play the whole way through, especially late game. When you get into those short circles and people are peeking, you want those one-shot kills to be able to drop people. So the biggest challenge, I think, for people using the AWM is not wasting their ammo. Just save it for when someone's sitting still, get that headshot, get that kill.
2G down by Downmy Cab. Blackout NZ down as well by Downmy Cab. Downmy Cab put in work now. Babyface Baggins. I've seen his name getting ripped up in the general chat in the PUBG OCE Discord. You can find the link in the information below the stream. He's one of the players that seems to get a reaction out of a lot of people at the end of CGL matches, also in general games. So nice to see that he's putting in the work that he's got here. Pekin going for the slow reses. These guys don't have much room to work with, and as you can see, looks like Herbie's trying to make his great escape right now, slowly rolling out of there. And that grenade came so close to having a devastating end to their team. If Pekin went down there, it probably would have left everybody with the very, very limited ability to get out, seeing that have already been taking the DBNOs. That's going to definitely have an impact late game if they do make it out of here, because the revive time is just going to be affected so much by that.
And have a look. That's a great example of what we were talking about before. There's a team in that building. They knocked out 3 of the 4 guys, allowed them to res all 3. Pekin res 3 of his teammates. They all healed up, and now they're going to attack and breach this house. If they lose this house, it's just because of poor decisions. They should have put the pressure on, pushed out 4v1, killed them, and wiped the squad.
Blackout, I believe, made a very similar push in the first round. Late game, second round. Third round, same house as the second round, if I'm not mistaken. But I think that push, I believe that push was against Blinded last time. I'm having deja vu here right now. So they've taken a last stand, believing that they're not going to be able to make it out any other way, and it's just gone completely ham. They're down 1 to their 4, so it's given them an advantage here, but it may be very costly with 70 players still alive, 2 DBNOs made. It's going to be very expensive. I believe it was on 2G that went down, was it, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, it looks that way, and look, that pretty much proves my point. Those guys made a poor decision by not putting the pressure on a squad with 1 up and 3 knocked out, and they've paid the price. They've lost the house, they've lost their squad.
But, there is light at the end of the tunnel, I suppose. He's just having a peek in the crates there for what he can pick up and utilise. As, again, Cernex is coming a lot closer to the circle as we're about to jump on board with Tiddly Toucher. That sounds a little bit... I don't even know what that is. I don't really want to know what that is. I know the game Tiddlywinks, where you flip coins. I think he's going to be flipping chickens if they can continue their push on the circle. But that was a TK right there, was it not? No, it wasn't. Tiddly Toucher moving up on Bov right now. So they're holding up that building, looking to get the revive, but there was no reason. There was no reason to be so hasty. So it looks like human error right there.
Yeah, not actually sure what happened there. Whether he was shot.
Yeah, I thought it was might have been under pressure there as we zoomed out. It just looked like there was nobody at all putting any pressure. Nothing was being applied to them. It just looked like human error.
Yep, run over by his teammate.
I got to say, I'm a fan of the suit you can see being utilised there by Dino Mancer. I think for a concrete playground, that's the equivalent of a ghillie suit if you find a matching headpiece. On Kairu right now, moving up the stairs. Looking for cover, hold the stairs. Wanting to go ham right now with the with the, is it a Mac 10? He's got the Uzi, sorry. Rum taking one outside. Nobody moving out, which is actually somebody moving out. Looking to take some cover. Benny Q utilising the roof for his advantage. Shotgun, time to reload. It's not going to be enough time. Gets put down. Is it enough to create an upset here for Synexus, Nobody, and Rum? So Kairu going to get picked up here as Lanny's holding up some cover. Not too far away.
Squad pulled out the salt and pepper. Those guys are seasoned veterans.
Just like that classic Salt and Pepper song, they pushed that building, and it was very successful for them. Taking the gold, just like Salt and Pepper did with that record. Laddie now takes one on the pan. Not enough, and it's totally cooked that run. Rum right in the middle of his sights.
He was trying. Yep. He was in the defilades there. He was trying to get cover in the trenches there. It was his last ditch effort, but he couldn't get cover. And was that Rum that finished him off?
I believe it was. Rum that had him in his sight. Things are very salty here as the building's getting peppered and push, just push it on top of the building, trying to make a real loop here out of this record that's playing like a broken vinyl. But he's got himself a turtle backpack and a pan. He's pretty much
M24. He's in good position.
Pretty much hard man in a hard shell, going to be hard to crack as we move out. We can see a big condense of players moving in on the northeast. Looks like sporadic spread of about 3 teams, if I'm not mistaken. Happy No Vite, someone to watch in this particular altercation because he's been putting in a lot of work in the last 2 rounds. He likes to take the high ground advantage, but right now he's just lumberjacking it right behind some timber.
He's got no helmet. He has to be very careful here. One stray bullet and he's going to be done.
In with the fight right now. David Blaine goes down, so not a real magical moment there, but he might disappear outside of the zone. Can Extrude come up from behind and put an upset to the guys in between? You can see Far King right there on his right at about south 195 degrees, just down from where his position is on the rocks. I'm not sure if Extrude actually has the situational awareness of where Far is, but he is holding the UMP, so it's more like Close King for the quarters that he's going to be looking to engage at with 30 rounds. He's got just a standard magazine there. No, actually, I might be mistaken. 30 rounds. I think it might be an extended round. Can you correct me if I'm wrong there? Nutshot, does it extended give him 30 on that UMP?
40. And you can see these guys are pretty entrenched here. They've got 45 seconds to the next circle, but it's actually not that far for them to go. So if Extrude and Co play this well, they can keep these guys trapped, force them to move.
Extrude doesn't know he's there. I don't sense that he knows that he's there.
Either way, move to the next circle, get good position, and then watch the guys come in. I think they know they're there somewhere, right? They're looking for them.
Yeah.
They are looking for them.
He doesn't want to engage on Novietz. No, he does. Far takes it. V Fox not too far up the hill. Far going down. Extrude finally finds out that positioning. Unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate for Novietz. 1 second. I don't know if it's enough to give him the chance that he needs. Lone Wolf stimming and perhaps on top
Extra
of his
just
med
needs to move. Needs to need the blue do the work. Yep, that's it.
Oh, he's done good.
He's done.
Can't discount the fact that he might heal again. He was on such low health before. He's got hard cover.
Yeah, but that blue's going to be over him. He's going to be chunking hard in this.
He's got his partner with him. He's not in too much trouble. But it's unfortunate for Novietz. He's going to go down there and he's out. So David Blaine pulling a disappearing act on himself and on Novietz as well. Varillos taking out Outlier. Lying out there on the beach.
Look at that setup. He's got a silent stump and a VSS. Probably 409mm in his backpack. He's ready to rock.
That all grunt right there taken out as well. Tismy Jeebus. So 2 players we haven't seen too much airtime off, but definitely put in some work at the last 42 alive. As the circle evolution is moving towards the left, we can see Nezzy taking out our grunt. So a bit of an offside trade there as he comes through on the blue. Varillos holding tight in the rocks. I think
so dangerous healing standing up like that. I don't know why he did that. You know?
Especially with a yellow suit, right? I don't think that's really with the meta. I'm not sure what you can blend in with a yellow unless you're right next to one of them yellow containers. Might not be the best pick for such open ground. Zoidmate's team holding hard. I can't see if they're on a buckfoy hut, but they are. Oh, it's a little bit bigger. It's more like a buck foy. It's a double the size, accommodates twice as many people comfortably, but it's definitely one of the upgraded iterations of the old buck foy hut.
Yeah, that's affectionately known as the shit shack, I believe.
Extrude NZ with a red dot. See Zaprooted drinking his eyes out, just bulging out of his head there as we come in on him. Standing right here next to the cup, throws a smoke in the direction of Zoid. But I think Zoid's far, far, far away.
Yeah, he's not worried about those guys. I think he's concerned about another squad.
K-Sun trying to do what he can there, but wasn't able to pull that revive from what it looked like.
Hawkins is trying to get the flank. He knows that they've got guys knocked down.
Hawkins going to pull a strong move here. Balls deep. K-Sun getting lucky.
And Cozzy
makes an impact, but it's not enough.
Yeah. Good backup there by Cozzy. Moved up with his teammate.
I think Hawkins made the right move. I can't fault him for that. It's one of those scenarios where the way that they're obscured behind that tree, as you come across, if you go slow, you're going to stand out way too much. That sort of semi-W speed, semi-run worked out really well for his team. For him, unfortunately, it's going to make an impact later in the game for any DBNOs he takes. VFox unable right now to... Oh no, looking for the revive right now in the middle of contact. VFox potentially on his first down. So plenty of time here.
Yeah, here's the presence of mind. He needs to know he's not going to get VFox up. Even if he does, the Blues is going to kill him. He needs to get out. But he's going to get caught in the blue here as well. And
but regardless, it will tell us a bit about his personality, I suppose. You do see some players that are in it for their team, not so much in it for the glory. And that you got to credit to some people as well, the way that they look after their team, as a unit, and move as a unit. Some players do it for the points, some players do it for the glory. So you never know how things are going to play out, especially in CGL, as everyone's condensing around Zoid now. I remember my first game of PUBG ended exactly where Zoid was. I'm starting to have a bit of deja vu here, except it was a solo game, not a squads game. So it's actually moving away from their current position, going to a much more open area. 2 points of hard cover that looks are very small to be utilised.
Joe Sky's team has the best position here. They're going to have the last bit of building in the circle, it looks like.
Now, Joe Sky's from Tilt City with Barney. I think we saw Barney earlier on the top of that roof when... Oh, man, who was that? I think the boys that went up and assaulted them just to the north side of the East Bridge. So that was Joski's getting out of there to be able to be in the position that he's in now. Blind Freddy, we saw him make some really good close quarters moves on defense in the last round. I think he likes to be in close proximity behind cover. He might be getting pushed out of his comfort zone, which he has indeed done, but not taking any more incoming fire. They're in contention now for the hard cover on the barn. Nice Mangoes. Trying to see if he can plant a seed of doubt in these boys. Boosting the morale, trying to get his teammate up. It's not too late.
He'll have enough time to heal up, and then they need to make a push either into here or around to the other side of it, but then obviously they'll be exposed to the field.
Hidley and Ov moved up in the hard cover to their south. It is condensing really bad around these guys in their building. I don't think Mango's team is going to make it out of this one. It's just too much of a sticky situation. Jack, the one, definitely the last one to be seen by those guys from that door area. I think he's not too concerned about making a conversion on the try here, so not needing to make the extra 2 points on top, but he's going to hold off on the defense. Nice move holding up behind the partially open door in case somebody comes in perhaps with a shotty or a UMP or I suppose a micro Uzi. At least he can get the drop on them just via the way he can be obscured from inside that door. As we move out further, nobody on the roof where Rum and Nexus are. And the blue about to come in again on the next evolution in 1 minute 20, pushing towards only one hard cover from what can be seen. There was a vehicle out in the field to the, I believe it's the northeast of F9 M5. In this situation, Nutty, with the circle the way it is, we can see one player just all the way up there to the top of F9. I think that might be the person who's got the advantage right now. Rum, Nexus, if they make enough noise, they're going to have two teams on their backsides. Who do you think will come out on top here in the next 53 seconds?
Well, look, the numbers are going to tell it, but look, if I was these two, I'd be getting up onto the roof of that building. It'd be much easier to get the guys coming from the barn. I don't know whether they know there's a full squad behind them in that barn, but I'd be getting definitely up onto the roof of that building.
So it's the age-old question, is it Bourbon or Rum, with Jack and Rum going to be closing in? Who's going to be coming out on top? But it's going to be a 2v4. So...
Plus, don't forget, I think we've got Snapshot, vying for...
I don't think we have to worry about Snapshot. I think he's going to utilise the time that he has to make and execute the ability to make as many points as he can.
He's going to try and let these guys... Yeah, he's going for second, right? He's going to try and let these guys wipe each other and then at least have a crack at second.
I got faith. In Rum and Cern. What I feel is going to happen here is purple team. These guys are going to be going for Nexus and Rum, and they're going to show their asses essentially to Snapshot. It's going to give him the ability to down one. The confusion of the shots that are going to be going out is going to let Rum and Nexus get their heads up. Take a couple out here. I think see a couple of bonus points from Snapshot. So Jackie exposed. Joski's exposed. DWICK with the Tommy gun exposed to Snapshot as called, and it looks like it's going to be most likely Black going down to Snapshot here. Snapshot might take the win, and he's got the win. The underdog absolutely does it. How did he dig up when it was a dig down only situation, putting his team on top with a solo effort there? I think
brains and balls, mate. Brains and
definitely
balls.
Player
he played
today.
That very well.
It should be a big spam for NZ Snapshot. 6 screen hype in the chat. He's definitely deserved a 7th screen. And that concludes our CGL coverage for this night, Tuesday, the second round of CGL for Bandana Division. We've got Snapshot, Extreme, Pekin, and Blackout on top. And following, the kills start to trickle down. Although, got to have an honourable mention for Rum, Nexus, Kairu, and Nobody. The way that they played in that building we saw just to the northeast area of the northeast bridge, or the east bridge, should I say, definitely putting themselves into contention for being in that circle there. Nutshot, any standout plays in this particular round? I think it was very hectic. Apart from Snapshot, obviously player of the game, anything else that stood out to you?
Look, I think the things to take away from that game was I can't remember the group, but the group that was taking on Snapshot's crew, who had knocked down 3 of them, but then decided to stay in their house instead of pushing, knowing there was 3 guys knocked out. That was probably something that those guys can learn from and take away.
I think that was Tilt City, Barney the Dinosaur with Joski's.
Yeah, probably a good lesson to take away from that, because they ended up paying the price in the end. These guys revived, healed, rallied, and then breached that house, took it over, killed their squad, and only lost one of their own players, and then went on to win the game. So a great example of, there's times to be defensive, times to be aggressive. But look, how can we take away from NZ Snapshot playing that last few circles perfectly? Yeah, the presence of mind to hold his shots, get into the zone, get into position, and then let the other guys engage, and then take the shots to finish them off. Really, really impressed.
Absolutely agree with you, mate. I think there's no better way to end the night with the way that the final round went, with Snapshot taking out last for the CGL match 3 for third game of the night, with a big win, with the player game for his team on top with the chicken dinner. Tomorrow night, guys, we'll be back with the High Tops division at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Our cameraman, our key grip, our best boy, Archer Phrasing, twitch.tv/Archer Phrasing. My co-driver tonight, Nutshot_AU, twitch.tv/Nutshot_AU. I'm Suko Vidya. It's been a pleasure being with you guys tonight. Don't forget to check out the PUBG OCE community in the information below. It's been a marvellous end to the third game for CGL Bandana Division for the night, for night number 2 of CGL Season 2. Thanks for being with us, guys, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow night, and enjoy.